Welcome to Miller's Mods, ladies and gentlemen. So, this is a modification overview of the xshot AEB. I've got the blaster 90% done. The only thing I'm debating on is if I want to do something with the stock or not yet. I haven't decided yet. Okay. Now, this video is going to contain various links to buy product if you need product and you can't source it yourself. Okay, the other things it will give you a link to is to this magnificent barrel shroud from the Big Blaster Consortium. Okay, so let's start in with the basics. On this blaster here, and yes, I've got the battery plugged in, so if it beeps, you'll know why. It's kind of like a warning thing to it. So let's begin, shall we? Okay, on the AEB, when you go after the spring, okay, because I'm going to start there. When you go after the spring, first thing you have to do is you have to remove the buffer tube stock. It just unscrews. It's no big deal. Now, when you do that, you can see the spring plug. It's a little white piece at the bottom. There's an easy way to remove the spring. This right here. This is a 3/8 drive wobble extension. This fits that square part in the bottom of the xshot AEB perfectly. It's a $5 tool. You can buy it at any auto parts store anywhere. Okay, you just tell me you want a 3/8 drive wobble extension, 6 inches. Bam. There you go. Okay. Now, but what you do is you shove it in. You'll actually feel it lock and click in place. You push down, you turn, and the spring plug pops out. And now you've got access to the spring. This is the spring for this blaster. Okay, I have an upgraded spring in here now. This spring is 160 millimeters long, ladies and gentlemen, okay? So I went through my stash because I wasn't going to pay Luke Goodman's outrageous price for his spring. He wanted $8, which, again, is not bad. But I wasn't going to pay an additional $12 in shipping. I didn't feel like paying $20 for a spring. So in my stash, because I have springs for Lord knows every blaster out there imaginable, it feels like. I use a lot of Worker 1.8 Swift springs for my Harriers, my Quinlans, and stuff like that, you know? Well, it's the same diameter as this spring, and actually the 1.8 is a heavier spring. Now, AEB's a little different. You can't just dump in the biggest spring load possible and hope for the best. No, because you have to consider the gears inside the blaster. So I used a 1.8 spring, which upgrades it. I cut the spring and squared it to 160 millimeters, okay? When I dumped the spring in, with no further upgrades, I was getting about 190 FPS, okay? Which is pretty good. I'm almost there at 200. So the next thing I did was I went after the barrel. This is a 10.5 inch or 265 millimeter Worker Harrier barrel that I cut down to fit. I cut it, chamfered it, the whole 9 yards. Shoved it in, and I got 200 after the scar. That was my target goal. Now, in my travels, I had Norman from the Big Blaster Consortium. He also owns secondhand blasters. I was talking to him, and he was like, "Hey, dude, I got a shroud I'm designing for that." I said, "Really? Awesome. Can I see it?" So he showed me the shroud. This one here. Okay. This is a SOCOM X1 shroud. Okay. Now, when I got this shroud, I didn't know what to expect, you know. The shroud costs $20. Okay. And you guys are going to say that's a lot, but yet a lot of work goes into this. And you get up to 4 color choices, as you can see. There's white, there's black, there's silver, there's blue, there's red in here. Okay, all the colors for the xshot AEB. It kind of matches nice. The reason why I got silver rails is because he ran out of black filament, so I got silver rails, but that's fine. Now, one of the things that he did do, and that he can do, is that he can personalize the blaster. I don't know how well you can see that, but that says Sandman. That's me. So, with that being said, you know, he personalized the shroud and all that. I mean, it's a really nice shroud. Now, I will tell you, the shroud, once it's on there, it takes about 45 pounds of pressure to remove it. I had this blaster, I was shaking it upside down like this, trying to get the shroud to pop free, and it would not budge an inch. and I was viciously shaking it, okay? So this blaster now looks better, performs better. It performs for 200 games because that's the one thing that this blaster was lacking, appropriate amount of power. Because, in my opinion, this blaster is too hot for a 150 game because it shoots 160. Can't have that. But yet, 160 is lacking for a 200 round, which would be the next class up. So make it shoot 200. So now it shoots 200. But the one thing you have to consider when you do a modification to an AEB is the gears inside. So you can't put in too heavy of a spring load because for me, working on springers, I'm used to putting in the biggest load possible and just hoping for the best. You have to consider the gears. That's why I went with a 1.8 Worker Swift spring. Now, you can get the Worker Swift springs anywhere. I buy mine from AK Blaster Mods. I ordered 4 springs, and the shipping was only $11. Okay, and I just ordered those springs like 3 days ago. I ordered a bunch of replacement springs. So I got 4 springs shipped for $11 instead of 1 spring for $12 from out of darts. So make sense to me, ladies and gentlemen. 4 springs from China for $11 shipping, or $12 and change for shipping from out of darts. You can't make it make sense. I'm sorry, nobody can. But it is what it is. But this blaster shoots really nice now. I do have it on. I'm going to do a firing demo of this thing, and then I'll give you my final thoughts on it afterwards. But I'm really loving this thing now. Just for fun, let's mag up this thing. It's so much fun. I mean, this thing is definitely a blast. It truly is. It definitely is probably the blast of the year so far. I mean, the choices have been kind of slim as far as pro blasters. We've gotten the Cricket from DZ. We've gotten the Fury. And, you know, we're supposed to get 2 more DZ blasters. But so far, this blaster here is definitely in contention for blaster of the year. But with the Shroud on it, this blaster feels like a complete blaster now. It definitely gives it a better look, a better vibe to it. Now, if you guys want a Shroud like this, again, the price is $20. Okay, and that does not include shipping, obviously. You know, I mean, but Norman stands by his work, so if it's flawed or something like that, he won't send it out. He'll make sure it's right. You will not get a crappy product from him. Nobody will. You know, because he's too proud of his work. You know, so if you want a Shroud like this, it's $20. I'll link his site. As far as a Worker Harrier barrel, you can buy them out of darts. You can buy them at AK Blaster Mods. I think I'll link AK Blaster Mods listings for their Worker barrels just because, well, most people use AK Blaster Mods or out of darts, and, well, I don't feel like paying out of darts' prices. So, like I said. But the thing about this blaster is that now that it's more of a refined blaster, it's game ready for 200. I took this blaster from basically being a pretender to a contender, if you think about it, because at 160 it lacked performance for a 200 game. But now this blaster shoots 205 FPS after the modifications. You know, and when I say 205, that was the highest number I got. The lowest number I got was 196. So again, right there, right for a 200 FPS game. But in any event, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. I'll put buy links in the description for the barrel, the spring, the Shroud, and until next time, this is Mahler's Mods signing off.